What a weekend in sports it was, too. It was fan-dang-tastic. It was what was billed as rivalry week. Easy to think, hard to say. We'll start things off here with our scores. One of the biggest rivalries there is in college football. It's called the Iron Bowl. Not much of a game. Alabama clearly the better team. Auburn had their moments, at least early, and as we've seen the last couple of weeks, it was close. At one point, this game was 17-14, and then Alabama hit the booster rockets and went away. So Bama's going to be in the SEC championship game, and it'll be great to see them face Georgia, because next up on the scoreboard is the Clemson Tigers going against South Carolina. Clemson let up some points. You see the 35 points, and there were a lot of points. That's what I was referring to with Houston Nutt. Was he concerned about the amount of points and the amount of big plays? I personally saw stuff being done against Clemson's defense I hadn't seen done all year long. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, let's go to the next score. Next score, Notre Dame and USC. 24-17, probably unnecessarily close, but again, a big rivalry with the Trojans and Clay Helton and company. They played well enough, I guess, for Lynn Swan, the athletic director, to think that Helton's got stuff going forward that's worth keeping around. But Notre Dame wins that one. Next up on our scoreboard is Georgia and Georgia Tech. Good old-fashioned hate. It wasn't really close. Georgia physically dominated this game. Georgia Tech was held under 100 yards rushing, had one 100-yard kickoff return in that 21 points. But Georgia, good tune-up game for Alabama coming up. Next up on our rivalry week, Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan, this was going to be the year. Yeah, they were going to get them. Well, not so much. The defense for Michigan just imploded against Ohio State. Ohio State made a lot of great plays, but they physically manhandled Michigan. And that's something you don't see too often. Ohio State, great thing to see. Next up on the scoreboard, if you like offense in that 62 points, you had to be crazy about the 115 scored in this one. 59-56. Oklahoma, as good as their offense is, their defense is maybe a little worse, but they're just good enough when they have to be, and they were last week against West Virginia. But that's got to concern you if you know a U fan. And how about this one? All-time scoring record in FBS history, 74-72 in 7 overtimes. Talked about this game with Houston Nutt. How does a coach have 7 or 4 or 5 two-point plays? That's crazy to me. 74-72. Wow. Okay, next up on the scores, UCF against USF. UCF won their last game, finished undefeated. They've got their conference championship game coming up, but they lost their quarterback, Mackenzie Milton. Dislocated his knee, had to have emergency surgery on his leg to restore blood flow. We're going to have to see how big of a loss this is, but this kid was one of the better players in the entire country. So UCF had enough problem with credibility going into this game. Now missing their best player, I would expect them to take a little bit of a hit when it comes to that.